Check 1, 2. Should be good there.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we are.
Episode 2.
Episode 2 of the Music Cafe. What is today's date? Oh, I'm getting a phone call. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, shut that off real quick.
It's the 21st today.
It's the 21st, 10:30 in the morning. We've got our coffee again from my my kitchen counter.
Yum.
Coffee pot, Dunkin' Donuts, regular coffee. It's a little bit more bitter today, at least in my opinion. But Joe likes it.
It's fine.
Yeah.
So what did we brush up on last time?
So last week we kind of just talked about, we went through some headlines on Billboard and ended up mostly, I think, talking about like music performance shows, like America's Got Talent
with
and
Pentatonix. And
yeah,
all
we
that.
talked about Pentatonix and One Direction,
One Direction and there.
other things.
It was pretty much just word vomit last week.
Yeah, it was our first one. But this week, we're going to chat about the new Taylor Swift album and kind of the marketing behind it and our theories and our review of the album. We kind of I've done a couple listens through. Joe did a crash course this morning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very Cliff Notes. But what did you think
well,
of that?
what I was thinking is you can start off with the marketing behind it because there was a lot of hype, and then we can go into the review of the album. Yeah?
Yeah. Okay. So
cool. So what did you find this week, Joe?
briefly, I mean, my theory is that, I mean, this isn't specifically with Taylor Swift's album. This is just when you reach such a level of fame with your music career that, I mean, you reach these peak moments. So you have to find new ways to build hype that is realistic and that you do not fall short of your fans' expectations. Because every time you release something big, the fans will expect something better the next time. Well, there's only so much that you can do. So when you reach a certain level of fame, you kind of need to, the expectations for your next release are going to be outstanding, farther than what you can actually produce. So what I believe is what happens is like you have a super successful release. So in this case with Taylor Swift, it was the 1989 release from, what was that, 2014?
Yeah, 2014, I think.
And then crazy successful. She made an unbelievable amount of money. And she had like at least 5 like top 10
When they
Billboard
won
songs.
Album of the Year. They won an
Album of the year?
Yeah, won a Grammy for Album of the Year.
Not surprised. It was incredibly successful.
Yeah, 1.28 million copies sold in the U.S.
Yeah, and then on top of that, with their tour, combined every day for 2014, almost every day. I think the report when I read that it was 2014, but it was like October, November at the time, and she had made at least $1 million. At the very least, she made $1 million every single day from January 1st. Because or when did she release that? It had to have been, I don't even know. But it was from release date, or maybe it was 2015, because I think she released it late 2014. So it was 2015 she had record sales.
Yeah, October. Late October.
So then starting 2015, they started counting like her sales from there. And then, she made at least $1 million every single day for all of 2015. It's just unbelievable. So you reach that kind of success, and then you can't really top that. It's
really
outstanding.
Yeah.
So what my theory is, and what I read around, is it doesn't match up. So I guess I'm the first on this one.
Yeah.
But it's the expectation versus experience, or otherwise could be just known as expectation versus reality. This is something that you brush up on in sales and marketing, but essentially what it is that if you walk into a 5-star restaurant, you know it's a 5-star restaurant, your expectations are going to be at the peak. You expect the best meal you've ever had and the best experience and service and everything. Everything needs to be top notch. Any smidgen of something that falls short of what you expect, you automatically have a bad experience because it's something less than what you were expecting. So that could be as little as like he put an extra fork in your napkin or something like that instead of a knife. You got 2 forks instead of a fork and a knife, you know? And you're just like, you know, this isn't what you're expecting. You expected better than this, right? Mm-hmm. So you have a bad experience. It's not what you expected. Okay. Whereas you walk into a McDonald's, you have low expectations.
Pretty low expectations.
It's a sloppy made burger. That's exactly what you're expecting. Mm-hmm. So if the cashier just says, "Hey, have a nice day," at the end of it, like, and that was it, and it wasn't even like in a great tone, but they said that, you'd be like, "Oh, this is pretty. Yeah, you had a good time. All right, whatever. It was better than the last time I was here." Yeah. So it was better than the last time I was here. It was better than the experience before. Yeah. But then on top of that, this kind of relates with with artists. So you go to McDonald's the first time, it's a terrible experience, but you go back because it's a cheap food. Mm-hmm. You have a better experience that time because the cashier says, "Have a nice day." Now, the next time that you go, you expect to have a similar experience to that, if not better. That was your last experience last
maybe
time.
Not at McDonald's, so that, but I see what you're
this is
at.
Kind of the idea behind it, that was your experience last time. You expect better the next time, or at least the same.
The same. Sure.
So this is the same with a release. Mm-hmm. And this applies to even local artists. If you need to top what you did last time. If not, be on par with what you released the time before that. And then we can kind of go into another thing that I want to brush up on today. Sure. But with Taylor Swift, she released that track, "Look What You Made Me Do," which was garbage. And my theory behind that was that, one, it does kind of set the tone for how her production style was for this album, but two, I think it's just a throwaway track to bring people's expectations down a little bit so that she can exceed their expectations. So she initializes the marketing for her album with a bad experience, and then she released 3 singles after that, which were better songs, subjectively, but they were better songs than "Look What You Made Me Do." And so what she does is she lowers people's expectations and then she exceeds them.
But this only works if you
are a megastar. This rarely has to apply. Right. The only time that I think I saw it apply was for Jay-Z and Kanye when they released Watch the Throne. Mm-hmm. So I actually looked into it. I think they released a different song before then to kind of let people know that this album was happening, and it was Ham, that song. I forget, but the real song that they actually officially announced the album and I think release date for it, that it was actually a real thing, was Otis, which was not a pop song or anything that would hit radio charts by any means, so it wasn't exactly what people were expecting because Kanye was just all over the charts at the time. So it was kind of a little bit of a throw off as to...
Talking about Otis?
Yeah, Otis.
Yeah, it's this one.
So it doesn't have a hook. It doesn't... it's not that catchy. I mean, they throw pretty good verses on it and all that, but it's not catchy, which is not what people were expecting.
Right.
So, I mean, it's just
And they released this one first?
Actually, second is what I found today, yeah. But this one, I believe when they released this one, they actually announced that they were having a full album coming out instead of just a single. So I think Ham was a single, and that... And this is the beat.
It doesn't go anywhere from here.
There's no hook on this. This is the beat. And then it loops back into this.
Right. Yeah,
That's it.
This is not that
It's
great.
it's not catchy. So I think what they did was they released this because Jay-Z and Kanye West are mega star names in the music industry, especially hip hop, which has just only been on the rise since this. But the expectation was just unbelievably unreal. So what they did is they released the song to bring down expectations again so that they could re-exceed it with actually songs that can exist, that can actually like be a real song that can exceed your expectations. It's not gonna, it's not gonna change your life, but they're gonna be good songs. So, when you reach this mega stardom and super successful album. So I think before this was Kanye's Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, which was just chart
incredible.
topper. It was mega hits after mega hits all throughout the album. So people are like, this is going to be crazy. It's going to change my life. People are thinking it's going to be the craziest thing of all time. And their expectations were not realistic because it's just an album.
Well, you can't.
It's just music.
You can't sustain. I don't feel like for any artist, it's incredibly hard to sustain that level of expectation and just like great album, great songwriting, great everything for more than 2 albums at a time without trying to do something like this.
Right. Yeah.
You can't just like throw it out there and have the same level every time.
The thing is, like, it almost seems to me that this is done on purpose, but it probably isn't, because no one else is, like, from what I read, no one else is caught on to this. But this whole thing of like dropping the expectations to re-exceed them, because like the only thing that is brought up in correlation between Watch the Throne and Taylor Swift's album is that the only thing that is similar in marketing styles, other than that, with the single release and timing and all that, like which songs you decide to throw out there, is that they did this like element of surprise marketing. So what they did is they kept everything really, really quiet, which is opposite. So when Taylor Swift did 1989, it was very heavy interviews. She went out and did sponsorship with like Diet Coke and all these very popular brand names.
You saw it everywhere.
You would see it everywhere. Right. And that established her spot as a pop artist because her name was now associated with very common things, pop,
Right.
And so with that, like, where am I going with this?
Yeah,
like,
I think you're going with the way it was.
The element of surprise. So with that, as opposed to this new album, Reputation, she kept everything really quiet. She deleted her social media page and all that, and then just randomly released these songs. And then people would make predictions, and then she would do something on the contrary to that. And that's the same thing that Jay-Z and Kanye did, is that they released that Ham track, and then people are like, oh, this is, really cool, whatever. And then they released, how did that work? They released Otis, and then dropped the album, I think, really quickly. Like, they did it really quick and sporadically with no marketing whatsoever. But it is their marketing strategy. It's all very calculated, and they kept everything really quiet in a way that it would not be able to leak to anyone. They kept the distribution channel really tight. They only put it through Apple and Best Buy, actually, because they felt that their distribution channels were really tight knit and that there wouldn't be any leaks along the way. So, I mean, that is opposed to what I was saying with the expectation versus experience, but that's how I feel. But again, if anyone is listening for ideas on marketing tactics, this is not the way to go.
No, not for someone who's
if you're listening
started.
to us for ideas on how to market, You're
we're
not a
gonna
megastar. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but you can't do it like that.
We're gonna have an episode
Actually, I could go into that right now.
if you want.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna have one later, but yeah, we can touch on that a little bit.
So yeah,
Joe
we can have a more
this is
in-depth
Joe's
one.
thing, in case you haven't noticed: artist marketing, and social media and all that kind of stuff. So I'll just let him ramble.
Rant.
Yeah, go ahead.
Rant.
Yep.
Okay, so really, what you want to do if you are an artist in today's day with streaming, people are very they can easily click away from your product.
Oh yeah,
They don't pay anything for
everything.
it. They don't pay anything for it, so
Right.
why listen to it? So
Well, everything is so saturated now.
well, yeah. I mean,
There's just a lot out
because
there.
yeah, you're right.
Right.
If you if I were to put out a song, or let's say I put out a full album, this is where it goes wrong.
Right.
You put out a full album, they make it through, let's say 7 minutes of your album, so they're into the second song,
Yeah.
and they're like, you know what, this isn't really catching me, and I've got a whole hour left of this, or 45 minutes to go through.
Right. 40
Through the
minutes.
rest of this album. I don't have time for this. I'm clicking to the next thing,
Right.
which is probably a single. And this is the way that you would want to go these days,
Oh,
because it's not much of a time commitment and it can grab the attention quickly. And then this is much easier for artists these days to build on that hype. Like, you can top the expectations each time, or at least stay in par, because you've probably, if you're smart about it, you will write all these songs at the same time, so they're generally similar to one another, and then they can kind of have the same feel, and then they can kind of be similar to the last release. So what you do is, you would want to, if you're starting out, you would want to maybe write an EP, 7 songs or half an hour
I agree with that.
of playtime.
Right. Make sure that the material is well received.
Right. You want to work hard on it.
Right.
You want good product. But as far as marketing it and building buzz behind it, it's super important, because you could work hard on a full album and no one's going to listen to it.
Or at least listen to a couple tracks of it, right?
Right. They're not going to listen to the full album if they don't know who you are,
Right.
you know. So you release a single at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see this with people on Spotify. Like, who's that girl that did the Alessia Cara? Okay.
I don't know if I know who that is.
You've heard of her. Definitely. Look her up.
All right.
So she's on a ton of big tracks these days, because she built good hype
How do you
behind
spell
herself.
it?
ALE.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, see, first one. AL,
one.
first one. What's the...
Scars to Your Beautiful?
You've heard it. You've definitely heard it.
Oh.
Yeah, you've heard
I
it.
got it now. Okay.
Right. And then the first single she did was Here, that like fourth one down. This is her first single.
From this album?
Now I'll tell you what she did. You remember this one? This is about 2 years
Not
ago.
as much.
Exactly. She's had bigger songs since then.
Yeah.
This song was everywhere for a bit.
Okay. 2015.
Yes, this is 2 years ago, because I was still in school when this came out.
Pretty decent pop track.
Right.
Yeah.
I heard this. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
this is great.
Pretty good.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to
So-
listen to more of her now, I think.
Right.
Touch up on that.
So this is the first that I saw of this, and this is because probably labels are catching on. I think she's with Warner now, but she must have been with a smaller label at the time. But
Def Jam. I think after Acoustic Pop Covers on YouTube, she signed
Def
with
Jam
Def
might
Jam
be.
Recordings.
Is Def Jam related with Warner?
Probably.
I think they might
I'm
be,
sure they are.
because there's only like 3 major ones, right?
Yeah, Warner, Universal,
Anymore. And
Sony. Yeah.
Is that it? Yeah, and then they've got the major labels under them, and then the indies under them.
Right.
Anyway, we're getting so derailed here. Okay.
Talking about artist marketing.
So when you do it, you release it a single track at a time.
Right.
So you do it one song at a time, and basically you market each song differently. But you got to kind of be smart about it, that you're going to eventually work them into either all of these songs are on an EP with maybe a couple extra songs on there as like a bonus for the listener,
Right.
or a full-length album if you're able to build that much buzz that you can earn the fan base or the buzz like that to get a listener to listen to a full
full album.
LP
Right.
of your tracks,
Mm-hmm.
because why else would they commit so much time to just listening to some random dude's music,
Unless it immediately grabs your attention, which is hard to do.
which is
nowadays.
extremely hard to do. Yeah.
Right.
So the best way to go about it these days, especially with streaming, is, put it on SoundCloud, do the right tagging, but market each song individually. And then, wait a month, at least a month for the next release, but definitely pay attention to how people are reacting to your last release. Wait until that buzz is going away a little bit, but not too long, and then release the next track. That way you get people keep seeing your name pop up and you're staying in their ear. When you lose their attention, it's really hard to gain it back. So you release a single at a time, and then you re-release those singles on an EP. So now you're getting double the listens, if not twofold
Right.
the listens on the second time that you release it. So Alessia Cara, what she did is she did this 3 times over. She released the single for Here. I don't know if you can see her full album releases here,
Yeah.
but she released the single for the song Here,
Okay.
and then she released, see, that's the full-length album.
Full album.
And then she released an EP. So, and that's also the album.
This one? No.
Nah. But here, go down there. So she released the single Here,
Yep.
and then she released an EP with about
This one. Here are the remixes?
no.
Not that one?
See, that's
Okay.
all the same one. I think it is, oh my gosh, where is it? On Go. Oh, it's a Stay. No, it's not. That's a Zed track. So I don't know which one it was. It's probably not on Google Play. But what happened was she released Here. She released an EP later because Here got really popular. So they just went ahead and moved forward with the smaller EP. And it had about maybe 4 or 5 other tracks on it. So the people got to hear the song Here again.
The single, and then they
And
put
then
it
they
again on
continued
the
to
EP.
listen because they're like, wow, I really like that song. I'm going to move on to the next songs that she has, which is maybe 4 more songs. So not a huge commitment.
Right.
That EP got pretty popular. So then what did they do? They released that EP along. They just put the songs from that EP into a full-length album, maybe scattered
4
throughout.
or 5 more songs.
Right. So you can either scatter out the songs throughout so that people are waiting for those songs to come up and then they get your new songs on the way.
Right.
Or you can do the 5 songs that you did for your EP just like you did on the EP. So those can be the first 5 songs of the album. So now they've already committed half an hour into your album. They might as well finish it because they've liked the EP to begin with.
Right.
Either way,
They're going to continue listening.
and with the formula of Spotify, because what you get 0.007 cents per play
Per play.
on Spotify, so you get almost nothing. So the formula that they're trying to play off of nowadays, and that you would want to,
plays can you get?
how many plays can you get?
Right.
So the best way to do that is to release singles, re-release singles, put out albums and EPs, and basically re-release these songs as much as you can and get the most out of your product, because you're pretty much going to get nothing out of it if you just release a full album.
Just put it out there.
If you just put it out there, it's practically useless.
And this is
And
for
you only
people
get
who-
one click on it. So
Right.
even if someone did listen to it, you get
One
almost
play.
nothing from it.
Right.
Right.
And this is for people who have never put out any music before, just getting started. But we did that with Sea Draft.
Yeah, we did. Did we do 1 or 2 singles?
We did 2. We did. Oh, I should remember this. I produced the album. We did 2. We did 2 singles.
It was
Is it not up?
it was Goddess and Ocean, I think. Oh,
Yeah, Goddess.
or did we only do the one single for it?
No, we did Goddess, and we did Ocean too.
But we did it before we started. Like, I think we did Ocean as like not this recording of it. We
so-
did a different recording of it,
We did, so the full album,
which is another thing. Beck did it for his last album. He released a mix for what is that song? Dreams.
okay.
Okay, so he did Dreams, pretty big hit, but he did the original mix for it as a release. But then on the new album, he had a new mix for it. It was like it was a different song. It sounded great,
Right.
but then he also kept that old mix in there as well, which I thought was pretty good. Like an all right move so that people could still have that track on there if they went and bought the album. But it does switch up things for the listener so that you're not getting the same exact track every time.
Right.
It does switch things up, which is interesting for a listener.
Right.
But the best move as a starting artist is to definitely go out there and perform so that because this
So
isn't
as a studio guy, as a producer, and this is a little bit off topic, but from exactly what we're talking about, but you want, in nowadays in terms of production and recording, it's like you can do so much editing. It's called recording in the box, like Pro Tools or Logic or whatever you use.
which is really nice.
Oh,
honestly.
it's super nice. Yeah, and you can edit things like crazy. You can cut and paste. You can move. You can do actually, so the way they've done this for pop artists now is they will take off the top. They'll just say, "Go ahead, we're going to record." Let's say you're doing vocals. Go ahead and just record this verse 8 times. We're not even going to listen to them back.
Right.
We're just going to go ahead.
Comping.
We're just going to boom, 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 do 8 times, and then we're going to cut these apart and find the best phrases and words and everything and piece it together from there. So in this day and age, you can do all that. But for a young artist who's getting started, I would, as a studio producer, I definitely enjoy, and it's a whole lot easier and comes out better if the artist knows their songs, is good at what they play, is tight group, or just if it's just an individual performer knows their stuff, so they can just come in, they can play. Nothing's gonna beat no version of editing and studio magic is gonna beat a good performance.
Yeah, you need to have good source material.
Good source material, good performing, practiced. As a when I have an artist in, and if they don't get it in about 4 or 5 takes, I'll be like, okay, we just need to practice this or come back when you're ready or whatever.
Right.
The other side of me is like, well, I get paid by the hour, so just practice and then we're good. I'm on the clock, but
Right.
Nothing's gonna beat. So
regardless, that's even in turn with that.
Right.
You're getting paid by the hour. So if you're a musician who's paying for the recording,
know
better be
your
prepared.
stuff.
Be prepared.
Know your stuff when you go into the studio. Put together a good track and then market it, like Joe's saying, individually. Release an EP or single EP, then full album, and that's what we did with Sea Giraffe, which is a band that Joe played in and I produced with our friend Charlie Jacobs. Plug in this album because it's a really good one. I really enjoy it. Eyes Open Underwater. You can find it on Google Play Music and Spotify, iTunes,
the whole thing, the whole fleet.
The whole thing.
I think
But we did before this one. We did an EP and got some decent traction. People liked it.
But that's the way to do it.
Right.
And then we
you
need to build buzz. It takes some time to build a buzz, but you need to do it a little bit at a time.
Right. And then we released the single called Goddess, and then a second one, I believe it was Ocean, and then we put out the full album, and then again you get the double the listens.
Right.
And incidentally, we didn't mean to do this, but Goddess was not the number 1 track on the album in terms of listens. Did you know that? It was actually this track called Lately, which got way more listens and follows than any of the other tracks, and we didn't know that. But kind of along Joe's point is, there may be another track on the album that's better, that people like more.
And that's another thing is that, if you write all these songs at once, which is what Charlie did, as any up-and-coming artist, you're like, oh, I've got all these songs, I want to make an album, which is usually the mindset of a beginning independent artist.
Right.
I've got all these songs, I ought to make an album with all of them. I've got a ton of material. But you need to dish it out a little bit at a time to figure out how your audience is going to receive it, or to figure out what kind of audience you're looking for.
Right.
So it is a lot easier now for artists these days, one, to build buzz for themselves, and in a safer way that you can actually just like kind of get your feet wet a little bit. You can dip your toes in the water with different markets and figure out who you need to be releasing this to before you just go ahead and just dive in.
Yeah, spend a lot of time or money
and a lot of money. Yeah, exactly.
Put it out there, and then it doesn't do anything.
Right, and then it was a waste of time and a waste of money and a waste of probably good recordings. And then what are you going to do with that?
Right.
Because it's out there now.
Right.
I mean, it's really hard to re-release a full album, because the point of re-releasing singles is that you can put it on an album later. Right. You don't just re-release the single 2 times. That doesn't make any sense.
You got to do something different.
Right. You got to do something a little bit different. So you release it again with a bonus song. So you could do a single. You could do a double single. You could do a single and then to an EP with like 4 other songs.
Or a remix.
Exactly. That's like the whole EDM thing these days. They do remixes, and then, I mean, that kind of stems off into another derailment. But you do the single to double single, single to an EP, and then EP to a full length. And then from there, hopefully you have done enough single releases to build the buzz to get people to listen to your albums.
Then get something to listen, and then they come to your shows.
Right.
So like,
and then
unless you're a mega superstar, just for those people who are starting off, you are not going to make a ton of money on your record.
No.
You're not going to make anything on your record.
No.
Really, hardly at all. So the thing that you're going to want to focus on is getting people to like your stuff.
Even if you're a megastar, you're not going to make a ton of money anymore. You don't make anything.
Not as much.
I mean, no, like even even if you land a record deal, you still don't make that much money. 30 Seconds to Mars, they did 3 albums before they even made a cent off their albums. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
You should watch that documentary.
Okay.
It's, I forget what it's called, but what happened was they just Google it. We can drop it. This is a great lesson in the danger of a record deal. So what happens is, in a record deal, standard today with major labels is that you got 2 sides of your it's Artifact. Yeah. Great documentary, and it really breaks down. Yeah, it used to be. But I told Carl about that. I was like, this is a great like record deals for
Jared
dummies.
Leto.
Yeah, he does like films and stuff like that. I kind of don't like him, but anyway, what happens in a record deal is that you basically, it's a bank loan.
Yeah.
So let's say you've had a lot of buzz and your label says we're going to loan, or they don't put it that way. We front the cost of an $80,000 album, let's say.
Right. We feel like you're popular enough, you're going to make this back plus some. So we're going to
let's do $100,000 just to make it easy to piece it out. But you've got 2 sides of the royalties or the copyright behind your album.
Another episode.
I mean, but this is kind of how you get screwed on a record deal.
Right.
Is that you got 2 sides of a record deal. You've got the recording and the publishing side.
Yep.
For the recording,
the recording is literally the sound recording of the material.
And then the publishing is
the song
is the actual intellectual work of the song.
Yes.
So if you are a pop star, chances are you did not write this song. At
least by yourself, for sure.
Right. So other people have got your royalties on this for you.
Songwriting, right.
So let's just say you are the standard pop star. You didn't write your song. You did not produce the beat. You're just singing on it. You've got a great voice. Let's just say that. This is a standard deal.
Happens all the time.
Happens all the time.
Right.
The YouTube stars, they do not write their songs. I'm sure of it. And like most people that you hear today with like the just total brick wall recording, all that stuff. Yeah, they're not writing their songs. They're just pop stars. Most people that you hear
on the radio, like pop artists, if they did write it, they didn't write it alone. So they have a lot of other writers that collaborated, and
that
each one
work
of those
for
writers,
the label, and they're just writers. They
right.
just work as writers,
and they each have a cut of the writing,
or
the publishing,
or they work for
royalty.
BMI, and
Sure.
like Warner buys up these songs, and
Sure.
then they push them onto these artists to be like, all right, you need to sing this, make it convincing. All right, so with that, you've got two sides of your deal. There's the recording and the publishing side. The label gets, essentially, as far as you're concerned as an artist, is that you don't get any of the publishing side. You get half of the recording side.
Right.
So when there's two halves of this, so there's you get half of the recording side, but then there's another half of the publishing. You don't get any of that. So essentially you get a quarter of the
potential
sales that you may or may not make.
Right.
If
Potential
you make
revenue.
sales, you're only going to get 25% off of the entire spectrum of royalties that you can make off this recording.
Right.
So
Write your own songs.
write your own songs is
Own
one.
a-
That's a
Create a publishing company.
create a publishing company.
get those
write your own
royalties.
songs. This is the best way to get as much money as you can.
Right.
But if you sign a bum deal, chances are, if you sign
You're
a
not gonna get
standard
much or
deal,
anything.
you're gonna get screwed.
Right. So
Because what happens is
they loan you the money.
they loan you the money, then you have to make that money back. And this is
And you're not
what
gonna
I was
make-
going through with the 360 deal, because
Right.
the sales for Spotify, they aren't going to make you anything.
Right.
So that's why they make these 360 deals. So that means that they now gain royalties off of your performances when you go out on everything.
Everything that you do.
Merch, stage performances, and anything you do that is related to your music.
Right.
The
record label.
So then what happens is you have to work at this with your music, and you got to do the good marketing and all that to make sure that you make that $80,000 back.
Yeah.
Or yeah, 100,000. So you make that $100,000 back.
And you don't get paid at all until you make that
exactly,
back.
Exactly. So you could go on tour for 2 years,
Right.
working your butt off, and you don't make a cent
Right.
if you make it back at all.
So then, sure.
So then it is on you to make that back, and if you don't make that back, chances are you're going to get a lawsuit filed on you for not producing.
Well, yeah, and then you're not going to get another deal.
And you're not going to get another
Record
deal.
label's
and so
never
on.
going to sign you again.
So,
Right.
When let's say you did well and you made $100,000 back, then you get to start making some money, but you only make a quarter of what
that
you are
potential.
generating.
If you don't write your songs and you just record
Right. Let's say in
track.
the standard that you're just a pop star, you signed a deal because you got a good voice and you look good or something.
Yeah.
That scenario.
Yeah.
You still do not make a dime.
Right. Until you pay that back. The 100,000.
Right.
So, Artifact, if anyone's interested in that kind of side.
I think it's a
making deals.
pretty short film, so I would definitely check it out if you're really into like really building yourself up and trying to work towards a record deal. Watch this movie, because this is the worst case scenario of how a record deal could go, because 30 Seconds to Mars made these like $1 million contracts that did not
pan out.
Well, they did, but they didn't make enough to support. They would sign a contract. They did it the worst way possible, honestly. But then they ended up filing a lawsuit against, I don't even know who theirs is. I think they might be Warner too.
Right.
But they ended up filing a lawsuit against Warner or their label because they were gonna sue them for an unbelievable amount of money, even though they already owed them money. So it's like, okay. Anyway, so what happened was they would sign another contract for another record deal for a second album to pay off the first record deal, which is the worst thing to do.
Yeah, it's terrible.
That's like getting a bank loan to pay a bank loan at another bank.
Yeah.
And then
exactly.
you gotta, it's totally redundant, and it makes zero sense.
We're not trying to scare you out of young artists. We're not trying to scare you guys out of doing something like this, because the thing is, if you're popular enough, if you're getting some buzz around your work, if you've done the marketing right, if you have good material, record labels and publishing companies, all these, they're going to approach you and they're going to want to sign. Just be smart about it. Make sure you get
do not sign the first deal that comes to you.
Right.
Regardless of how good it is, do not sign that first deal.
Right. Make sure you know what you're doing. Make sure you get a cut. Make sure you get control over your stuff. And then what the big thing is, make sure that you get control, like I said. And then what you'll want to use the record label for is the distribution.
Right, that's
Because
all
they have the money and they have the resources and they have the buzz, most likely, that people know their artists. They have ins with radio stations and other places that they can get your music. So you're going to want to use those for them for the distribution side because they have the connections for that. But yeah, just don't get screwed.
You know who did
Pay
it
attention
really
to what you're
well with the whole releases and building buzz and then the label deal? Mac Miller. You ever listen to him?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
A little bit.
He did it. He's a terrible stage performer, but because really he just forgets his own lyrics. But
I've never watched him live.
it's all right. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
I don't think I have either, but my brother is gone. He's just not. It's not the same. Anyway, he released the singles on his own. He did it independently for a really long time.
Sure.
And he released the singles, got a bunch of buzz in Pittsburgh area, and then that spread out. He expanded the market.
Right.
And he just did it all online. It's super easy to do on your own these days.
Right.
So he released the singles, generated the buzz. He released, I think, one mixtape before actually releasing a full album with original beats and everything, and original songwriting. So he did that still independently. And his album reached the top of the charts on like downloads and all that, and in sales.
Right.
But I think he released it for free, so
Right.
it still counts as sales. Like if you're if you're putting it out there,
Right.
I think they count it by the number of
Per
downloads
plays
and plays.
Right.
So he did that, and then I think he did one more album, which also was very popular in hip hop community. And then, of course, labels are approaching him left and right, but he's like, no, I don't need this yet.
Right.
So he generated enough buzz that he was a megastar by this point, or
Well
very
known within the hip hop community.
definitely.
Right.
But he was a very popular name. He's practically a household name among,
Right.
Anyway, so then it was Warner that approached him and said, we want to cut a deal, but we are going to pay you. It wasn't a front and it wasn't a loan. We are going to pay you to be on our label, $3 million.
Wow.
And then he can make, but it wasn't like he signed on for one album at the start, I think, and it wasn't a front cost that he had to pay back. It was just a $3 million fee that Mac Miller was able to negotiate into his contract, saying, Warner, you are going to pay me $3 million up front if you want me to make an album with your company.
Well, yeah.
And that is the best case scenario of how to negotiate a record deal. You build the buzz and the fan base before you make any
deals,
negotiations with a record label.
Right.
Because
then you have some pull.
Exactly. You want the leverage up here, in front.
Right.
So you need to, again, with releasing the singles and your marketing is that, build the buzz, go out there and perform, because
what about social media?
I think it's terrible. It's great, but it can be terrible if you do it the wrong way. If you are doing the push it onto your friends, hey, if that's all you're doing, that is a good way to build a little bit of a fan base. The very initial buzz. Right. You just say, hey, this is my stuff, check it out. But if you are literally, that's all you do is just force people on Facebook to listen to your stuff, that is probably the worst thing that you can do, because that's all it goes is to your friends. And then what is that, 18 plays or something like that? Some 18 to 20 of your friends will actually listen to it. You need to branch out. So you have to go out and perform, regardless of how terrible your performance.
Put it on multiple sites.
Put it on multiple sites and just push it to the right people. Do some research and figure out who is listening to your stuff. What radio stations might want to play your stuff? Do they do any local airtime?
Right.
Yeah. CT, for a lot of indie bands, they have they do the local music showcase on there on, what is that, or they do it kind of randomly now.
They call it local music showcase,
but
it's on their
super
website.
Easy. Yeah, you just hit them up on CT. You can do it with even, I bet 92.3 will be like, yeah, we'll play your pop track or your, your rap track, whatever hip hop single that you got. I'm sure they'll play it. Like you can make that happen very easily. Right. Or that is way better marketing than just saying, hey, everybody, check out my single. It's called yada yada yada. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Like maybe your aunt will listen, but
you want more than your friends and family just to listen.
Exactly. So you have to branch out of that. This is how you get a foot into new markets, is that you have to actually go out there and make the connections. Mm-hmm. So social media it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort too. So I think that's the idea, is that people think that's with social media, it can be really easy because you can sit there and just click and post,
and then
it's super easy, and
they think that immediately you're
going to get... usually with social media posts, it's instant gratification, right. But this is not the same thing. This is actually trying to generate revenue, right. So you need to build the buzz, right. And
when every popular band that you listen to, this is like maybe not, but like final form of what they've been doing for the last years. 3+ years at least, right?
Yeah, this is all they do.
This is all the work that what you're hearing and what you're seeing is the work that they've put in for years before this.
Right.
Right? So it's very rare that you throw something up and it becomes an instant thing. You have to work at it.
Don't count on the songs going viral.
Right. You have to work at it. And obviously you probably have enough passion just to stick with it. All of us in the music industry understand that. But yeah, just stick with it and go at it. And artist marketing.
Yeah,
that's a good discussion.
Essentially, to wrap things up.
Well, do we want to talk about the album at all? Taylor Swift, Back to It?
Oh yeah, what did you think of it?
Yeah, okay. Now that we got the marketing side out of the way. I thought it was okay. She has definitely divulged into pure pop now.
That was the last album,
to the more
too.
Extreme. Yeah, 1989 is definitely like her first
straight pop album.
This album is more hip hoppy. Like if you listen to it, the beats, it's pure. It's all electronic. Except for the very end, I did not hear any acoustic instrumentation.
But it's probably, MIDI piano,
right.
I'm sure.
No, it could be. Right.
But
it's all electronic produced, definitely more hip hop style EDM beats, club music type stuff with the Taylor's vocals on top of it. And it works pretty well. So in my opinion, I'm not into that music. That's not what I listen to primarily, right? So it works really well for like one or two tracks. Like makes you want to move. You're like, oh, this is cool. Got the bass drops in there. But a whole album of it, or at least 5+ songs of it,
it gets tiring.
It gets kind of tiring. It's the same type of feel over and over. So my first listen, I put it on. I listened to the first couple of tracks, and then I got up and did something else. And while I was listening to the background, so it was not an active listening session. So you kind of lose track of that. A couple of tunes.
Yeah, that's
I'm a
jazz side.
Player, yeah. Couple of tracks that I really liked was Getaway Car, Call It What You Want, and Gorgeous. And those, I think the reason I like those the most is because they are just true, easy listening
pop tunes. Yeah,
with good lyrics and decent melody.
Right.
And then there's a track at the very end called New Year's Day, which is just Taylor on, I don't know if she may have played piano on it. I'd have to look that up. And then a little bit of strings at the very end, and good lyricism, kind of true, like I said, Taylor Swift songwriting on that one.
Just regular pop song,
right?
Ballad kind of thing,
right? And that was one of my favorite tracks because it's easy to listen to. It's what she does best, in my opinion. Yeah, that's what I thought about it. Yeah. What did you think in the little bit of time that you listened to it?
Yeah, my Cliff Notes. Yeah, it just seems all like the same thing. I mean, she clearly went for more 808 style hip hop production. Mm-hmm. I think she brought in Drake to help with songwriting. Honestly, I heard that, but that isn't confirmed
I
yet.
don't know.
But clearly hip hop sales are dominant in the music industry.
Well, yeah, hip hop is the biggest
number
genre
one. It's
right
the
now.
number one genre right now.
Right.
Like pop has been pushed to the wayside because it's the same thing over and over again.
Right.
And like even if you listen to hip hop songs now, they don't really have a hook anymore. It's actual hip hop songs that are
Right.
top in the charts.
Right.
So Taylor Swift's got to jump on the boat and follow along with the hip hop
Sure.
style.
Sure.
But she can't stray too far away. But that's kind of we could get into that one next time for like marketing for your, like how to keep your fan base, but switch up
Sure.
styles to kind of follow the trends.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and you hear Future on this album.
Yeah, Future's on it.
and Ed Sheeran, which is kind of an odd matchup, but
I mean,
decent.
Taylor Swift and Ed Sheeran, that makes sense. They're pop stars.
Right.
But then they throw Future on
Future
there.
in
It's
there
like,
to do a little
all
rap,
right, man, here we
little
go.
verse.
We got Future.
Right. So, if you want another good review on it, read the Pitchfork review. Pitchfork.com is a music site. They do a lot of really good reviews and news.
it's good.
So they have
good
a
source
pretty
material.
decent review of it. But I actually had to. So most people use streaming sites now: Spotify, Google Play Music,
Yeah.
Apple Music,
Everyone's
the whole thing.
yeah.
And Taylor's, if you follow music at all, about, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, she decided to pull all of her music from streaming sites.
Yeah, because
Remember
she had a little protest
Sure.
stint with
She's trying to make a statement
because she doesn't make enough money off of it, so she's like,
she makes a shit ton of money, but
not as much as her sales before.
that's true.
But I don't know, maybe it evened
know.
out honestly, because she got mega famous with
1989.
before, but after that stint, she got mega famous.
Right. And she pulled all of her stuff. She wanted to make a statement that you should value your music more than a third of a penny or whatever it is per play on Spotify.
Right.
So I had to. I don't remember the last time I bought a CD. It's probably been.
And you went out and bought this
I
one.
went out and bought Taylor Swift
Yeah.
on at Best Buy actually.
Yeah.
And then I had to pull out an old desktop computer that has a disk drive to listen to it.
Nothing's compatible with CDs.
No one buys CDs anymore. To listen to it 3 or 4 times just for this.
Wow. and you thought,
It's all right.
yeah, like 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10,
6 out of 10.
6 out of 10.
I would say.
All right.
There's
Yeah.
some pretty decent songs on there. But yeah, anyway. So that's our discussion on Taylor Swift and some
Yeah, hopefully we won't have to go into Taylor Swift much more. We've had 2 episodes on Taylor Swift.
a little
now.
bit, yeah.
Yeah.
It's because it's popular right now and we try to stick with the
I mean, you got to, but
yeah.
yeah, we could probably do one more on marketing and like getting started out, and then we can actually start going into like generating
either next
real
week or
good
in the
product.
future. I think we're gonna have a full discussion on only getting started in the industry.
Yeah.
Recording, marketing, performance, practicing your material. Have a pretty long discussion about that, and we hope to bring in a guest.
Yeah,
that
we can,
time
yeah,
around.
we can start bringing in guests. But then, what I think we should do, we should do, like, we can like lay out the general outline, so that it's like easy to like first get like the basics of like your steps, and then the ones that we do after that, we can actually go into detail on each of those
one.
steps.
We could have like
kind of like a full series on
a
like
series on getting started. Yeah,
let's
and
do
we're gonna bring in some guests.
For recording process and marketing and local artists and things like that. We'll get that done.
We'll get that done. But something I want to keep doing on this is plugging local shows and things.
Yeah, coming up.
That are coming up in the Peoria area.
Oh, dude, did you hear? Is Todd still playing? Doc, is he still playing for Brazilianaires?
He is.
Yeah, they're doing their. I think it's not until like Valentine's Day but
Mhm.
with the orchestra, they're doing a performance with the
Oh,
orchestra.
they are. I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
I saw that.
I may have to go to that. When is that?
That's like February 10th.
Peoria Symphony. Um, there's a band in the Peoria area called the Brazilianaires, and they're really, I enjoy them a lot.
They're stellar.
They're very good,
stellar
great
band.
performing live group. They play like 2 or 3 times a week. They play a lot.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, Doc plays with them. Todd Kelly, who's a trumpet player at
Where do
Bradley.
you usually catch them?
I've caught them at the Rhythm Kitchen,
Rhythm Kitchen,
downtown. They also play at 225 and out a lot during the summer. And they are playing with.
Yeah, it's that romance one.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah, click that.
On February 10th next year, they are playing with the Peoria Symphony Orchestra at the
Civic Center.
Civic Center. Thank you. It's called Romance. Latin rhythm and passionate violin create the mood for a Valentine's evening. That would be
But
good.
the Brazilianaires are playing. That'd
Yeah,
be
they are.
cool.
That's going to be cool. I may have to go to that.
But it sounds like that's their debut symphonic performance.
Right. Which is
Or-
kind of a cool
I don't know. That'd be cool.
collab.
How much are
there.
tickets for that?
I don't know.
Wait, go up to the top.
Buy tickets.
Yeah, buy tickets. Let's find out.
$10. $10 for the main floor.
10 to
55
55, all the way up to 85 if you want like
for
the
the
top notch
actual
seats.
box,
Yeah.
yeah. box
but
seats.
10 bucks.
10 to $55. So
Wow.
bring a date. That would be a good one to go to. So yeah, check that out. That's going to be cool. But anytime you see the Brazilianaires play, that's a really good time. So check them out. And then,
Wow, dude. I was thinking that would be like an easy $60 right there for something like that.
well, you could spend $60. But
Well, you
also
could, but
spend 10.
as low as 10.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be like minimum $60 to go
Oh.
to something like per ticket. Yeah. For
Surprising.
symphony performance?
I've always gone for free with
Oh, okay.
Bradley.
Oh,
or
wow.
A discount.
Oh, look at you.
I don't remember what I paid for that. If I did pay anything.
Were you doing sound or performing?
Oh no, I wasn't good enough to perform in symphony orchestra.
I don't know if you ever tried out. Does Maggie do that these days?
She may be on the call list. I remember Julie Herring did.
Yeah.
She sat in a couple of
And
times.
probably Billy's played with them.
Billy or Molly Wilson is probably on their call list
Probably.
too now. But other stuff, Still Shine, local band, playing at Kenny's West Side on the 22nd.
Dexter O'Neill and the Funk Yard. They are great,
They are
man.
also
They
really
played.
good.
They played my sister's wedding, dude. They were a lot
Oh,
of
really?
fun. Oh my, yes, they
Oh,
did,
that's crazy.
dude. They were so much fun.
November
yes,
24th at
Kenny's?
Kenny's.
dude,
Kenny's is a
they
good
are
place.
so much fun.
8:00. Kenny's West Side.
And Kenny's got some
Oh.
killer food.
They do.
They do.
Sun Stereo. They're also really good. Have you ever heard them? It's like a jam band, electronic type thing. They play at all
I don't
the
know if I've heard
festivals
of them.
around time. And then Illinois. it's
ICC
actually
Jazz
Central-
Tran.
Central Illinois Jazz Train. It's not Illinois Central Jazz Train. It's actually the other way around.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. Central Illinois Jazz Train, I believe is what it's called.
No, because isn't Jazz Train with Illinois Central College?
Oh, maybe you're right.
Maybe they're two different things, and they're just unfortunately very similar.
I got mixed up.
Yeah,
I doubt it.
but I think
you're probably
Jazz
right.
Train.
ICC is
ICC, I think
Jazz Train.
ICC as their group's called Jazz Train.
Yeah. November 30th at Kenny's. I was gonna see if there's anything going on at Bradley.
I'm sure there is.
I'm
We're
sure
heading to the end of the year.
music
This
stuff,
is when you got the best performances.
Right. Oh, their website is. Let's see. Oh. Calendar of events.
Nice. This is smooth.
Oh yeah. student recitals, honor band, saxophone. Yeah, just like ensemble. What was that? Oh, that already
Did they already do the symphony orchestra?
That was
last weekend, wasn't it?
last weekend, yeah.
Dude, I wanted to go to that so bad.
I heard it was pretty good.
Yeah. Because it was
There's
community
not much
chorus
going
and the orchestra.
And the orchestra.
Dude, that's just something
And
to
the
see.
chorale. Together.
And the chorale. Yeah,
Right.
it was like a huge thing because I played
You
timpani for that once.
He sang in it once too, I think, right?
I did. I've done both. Yeah,
I've
that's
done
right.
both.
Dude, singing it
Was
was
it you and
way
Charlie?
easier.
In that one? Or was it just you?
No, Charlie was in that
in
one.
in the community choir.
Yeah, it was me and Charlie, and Christine's uncle was actually in that
Oh.
as well. Yeah,
Nice.
he's a great singer.
Oh yeah, he is for sure.
But
All right.
yeah,
Well, I think that we're actually right at an hour, which is a
that's
pretty
pretty
good.
good. I don't know if anyone listens this far, but
Yeah. I think that's gonna wrap it up for this episode of the Music Cafe. Join us. We're gonna talk about something next week.
yeah, we'll probably continue on marketing,
the
and then
new
we'll
artist type stuff.
yeah,
Next week.
or we can just go straight into that series.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
So, thanks, guys.
And break.
Break.